So Disney has been making a lot of bad decisions lately when it comes to their entertainment, especially when it comes to their parks. If anyone has been to Disney World recently, it's been an absolute disaster. You know, the quality of everything is going down there. The wait times are going up. The apps they're coming out with are really ruining the experience, and the prices are only going up as well. But one of the really, really bad decisions, if not the worst decision that Disney has made in recent history, has been promoting Bob Chapek to CEO of the company. And now, obviously, everyone knows Bob Chapek has stepped down, which we all know what that actually means. He got fired because he's doing horribly at his job. He is now no longer the CEO, and Bob Iger is now the CEO once again of Disney. I'm not sure if this is going to be permanent or if this is a temporary thing in a transitionary period for Disney. Who knows what it's going to be going forward. Obviously, Disney was a lot better under Bob Iger than it was under Bob Chapek because, you know, even a lot of people criticize Bob Iger, rightfully so. The guy did a lot of bad for Disney, but he also, it was a lot better than it was under Bob Chapek, you know, especially the parks. A lot of people are saying this isn't going to do anything for the entertainment side of Disney, and I will agree with you on that. It's probably not going to improve Star Wars or Marvel very much because those two studios have studio heads that are really established. They're not good. You know, I don't even think Kevin Feige is good at his job anymore. I used to praise him. I used to sing his praises to anyone who would listen, you know, especially up until Endgame. Kathleen Kennedy I've never been a fan of, and if you are a fan of Kathleen Kennedy, I have to question your IQ. I have to question your intelligence because there's not much of a reason to be a fan of Kathleen Kennedy nowadays. But I don't think anything's going to happen with those two big studios, which is what everyone thinks of when they think of Disney now, is Star Wars and Marvel. And whenever a big transition happens like this, whenever Bob Chapek gets removed from CEO and Bob Iger comes in, the one who facilitated the purchase of Star Wars, a lot of people were thinking about that. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, is how is this going to affect Star Wars? How is this going to affect Marvel? Could this possibly bring those two studios back to life? And if I'm being real, I still think the answer is no. I think both of those studios, both of those IPs are going downhill, and there's really nothing that you can do to stop that snowball at this point. It's way too far gone. I don't think those things will ever be saved until you cut the true head of the snake off, because, you know, you could get rid of the CEO and say that that's cutting the head of the snake off, but it's really not. There's a lot more things that Bob Chapek and Bob Iger have to worry about as CEO than the actual content that's coming out with Star Wars. Bob Chapek and Bob Iger, which I'm just going to say Bob Iger from now on, Bob Iger is just worried about how much Star Wars content is being pushed out and the straight up numbers that are coming along with it. Star Wars is going to make you money. It's just not going to make you as much money as it could if the content was actually good. Bob Iger is not sitting there watching through every single Star Wars episode, every single Star Wars cartoon, every single Star Wars movie to make sure that it lines up with George Lucas's lore and what George Lucas would have wanted. He's not doing all that stuff. That's what he hired Kathleen Kennedy for. And, you know, it was a horrible hire. But what are you going to do? It's obvious that they're not going to fire Kathleen Kennedy. You know, and maybe I'm completely wrong, because I've been saying for the last couple of years, I think that they're going to fire her because I don't think anyone's stupid enough to keep Kathleen Kennedy around and keep losing out on potential money. Obviously, they're not actually losing money, but it's the opportunity cost that comes along with having Kathleen Kennedy as your studio head. I don't think anyone was that stupid, or I didn't think anyone was that stupid until they continued to re-sign Kathleen Kennedy to new contracts, to extend her contracts over and over. I kept getting my hopes up every time whenever her contract was about to end. This could be it. You know, this could be the time where we actually get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. Maybe we bring someone in who actually cares about Star Wars a little bit and doesn't just care about the numbers that come along with it, doesn't just care about the politics behind it, doesn't just care about inserting herself into the stories. But that was never the case. We never got rid of Kathleen Kennedy. Kevin Feige is running the MCU into the ground. Wakanda Forever is not very good. Yeah, a lot of people are hating the movie. A lot of MCU bots that are friends of mine in real life aren't liking the movie because they see right through the propaganda now. Even the bots are waking up to the fact that the MCU is no longer about purely entertainment. It's about, you know, a lot of other things, a lot of other politics, a lot of other propaganda. And it's not as entertaining anymore because we all know what's going on. At first, it was a little bit covert. You know, with Infinity War, you had the all-woman scene. Endgame, you had a little bit of a bigger all-woman scene. And it was like, yeah, you could cringe through it. You know, it's 15 seconds of pure cringe. But now it's like an entire 2.5 hours of pure cringe that it's just impossible to sit through. And I'm tired of it. I'm not a fan of the MCU anymore. I'm not a fan of Star Wars anymore. I love to see chaos. And that's what this is right here. Bob Chapek getting removed as CEO, stepping down. I don't believe that for a second. But Bob Iger coming in back as a CEO, that's chaos, man. That's what I'm rooting for now. I'm rooting for the downfall of Disney as a company, because maybe that'll mean that they'll sell some things off. And that's been a big rumor going on. By the way, Disney stock is soaring after Bob Chapek gets removed as a CEO and Bob Iger comes back. Now, I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty unprecedented that when you remove the CEO of a company that's, a lot of people are claiming are very successful nowadays. They're not failing at all. Disney is failing. Disney's in shambles right now. And this proves it right here. Disney stock soars after Bob Iger returns as CEO. No, Disney stock isn't soaring after Bob Iger returns. Disney stock is soaring after Bob Chapek leaves. That's why it's soaring, because Bob Chapek was such a horrible CEO. He ran everything into the ground that he touched. He was even bad at just the parks before he was even the CEO. He was just in charge of the parks and he was running those into the ground before he was CEO. Bob Chapek needs to be nowhere near the parks, especially, but nowhere near Disney at all. What a horrible decision from Disney to even put him as the CEO in the first place. A lot of people complained about Bob Iger, but sometimes the evil that you know is better than the one that you don't know. And that was definitely the case. And, a lot of people are saying that they're happy that Bob Iger's back. I'm sure Disney's happy that he's back, but more happy that Bob Chapek's gone. And that's why the stock is soaring. It's not because Bob Iger's back. It's because Chapek's gone. Like I said, this could be, a lot of the rumors are saying that this is because they're facilitating some sales, which they're not going to sell Star Wars or Marvel. They could be selling ESPN. And maybe, just maybe, our dreams could come true. Maybe they will sell off Star Wars or Marvel. It's very, very unlikely, I understand. And this is most likely not going to happen. But the smallest chances, I'll take it. Maybe they sell Star Wars to Sony. I'm sure Sony would make great Star Wars movies. Or maybe not. Maybe not. I probably wouldn't get my hopes up very much. But it can't be much worse than it is now. Apparently they're going to sell ESPN. That's the rumor right now. That's the big rumor. I would love that, because I would love to be able to watch ESPN without getting politics shoved down my throat. But maybe they sell it to some other lefty company that won't even let us watch it at all without seeing politics shoved down our throat. Who knows what would happen there. But I really am tired of not being able to watch ESPN without, feeling like I'm a bad person because I don't, care about their politics as much as they do. So that would be great. Any sale that Disney could make, any IP that Disney could get rid of after Bob Iger comes in would be a win for me. Because like I said, I'm rooting for chaos. I don't care about any of these IPs anymore. I'm totally out on Star Wars. I can't watch it. It's boring to me. It's extremely boring to me to watch Star Wars now, because I just have no faith that they could actually make good content. So it's not even like a hatred. It's not a sadness. It's straight apathy. Same thing with the MCU. The MCU is just an absolute joke. It doesn't even seem like they're trying anymore with the MCU. It's just shoving politics down your throat. That's all they're doing. And that's why Disney was a huge failure. That's why Disney was in shambles ever since Bob Iger left, because it was bad before he left. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people were picking up on it. A lot less people than picking up on it now, but a lot of people were still picking up on it back then. Bob Chapek took over, and it just seemed like everything got turned up to 100. All the politics, all the propaganda, all the wokeness was turned up to 100. And people are leaving now. People are tired of the parks going downhill. People are tired of the quality of the parks going downhill while the prices are going up. And people are, they're speaking out against it. They're buying less tickets, all of that stuff. So you can say whatever you want. Say that Disney was extremely successful in these few years that Bob Chapek was the CEO, but successful companies don't fire their CEO, and that's just the end of the story. If a company is making the money that they want to be making, they're not going to fire their CEO. And the CEO, if he was doing his job, wouldn't want to step down. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about Bob Iger coming back and replacing Bob Chapek as CEO. Once again, I'm rooting for chaos, so I'm glad. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to that will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you on the next one.